Who's in town?
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Podcast, the sequel where we talk about the good, the bad, and the continued. My name is Joseph.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Marissa.
I'm Manira.
And with today being Labor Day, we decided to talk about Clerks II, a movie about not wanting to go to work. But before we get into Clerks II, we got to talk about Kevin Smith's very first movie, the original part of this whole film, Clerks. And I have been dying because, Marissa, I know so many people have brought this movie up to you so many times. I feel like they've kind of overrated it a bit, but please give us your review.
Oh, all right, we're getting into it.
Lead us off. You just dive right in.
Dive right in.
I was ready. So I have not seen a lot of Kevin Smith movies. I think I've seen like from one person's perspective, maybe like the worst of the movies. As so many people say, like I've seen like Yoga Hosers, I've seen Tusk, which like a lot of people, like are like no, like that's not his like.
Honestly,
tier.
some of the worst, I would say.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean,
Tusk
I'll
is
say
a
that.
banger.
No, well, Tusk.
No, it's
Tusk
not.
is Tusk.
Well, I was first introduced to Kevin Smith in Degrassi, so that was
Yes.
the first time I even like knew who he was as a person at all, just because I just didn't know. And I fell in love with him as an actor in Degrassi, even though he was only on like a few episodes. So like I was like, okay, cool, let's take a look at these movies. And I know a lot of people really like Clerks, and I'm very torn because I'm not a fan. And I know that hits a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's going to hit.
Well, okay, I didn't hate it, and I understand why it's like it's culturally significant and like why a lot of people are like, oh, this is great. I understand where it like hits home for a lot of people. It's just not my cup of tea. It's very like, I don't know, like when I was writing, like when we were chosen to write scripts in high school and stuff, it reads very much like that. And I'm sure it's supposed to. It's just not. It just brings me back to that, like hearing all of the other scripts in high school and being like, oh God, all right. So this is what we're listening to today. And I am not speaking as if like my scripts were great. They were absolute garbage. Like my writing was terrible. Like so much so to the point where like we had to write our own monologues in high school, and then we had to perform them live. I never wrote my monologues. I literally just improv'd my monologue the whole time. I never wrote anything down. I just did it. I just went up there and basically improv the whole thing. So I know that like writing can be really shitty and then rereading it. So I'm not saying that this isn't great. I get the point. I understand. It just was not for me.
And that's a valid.
I'm shocked.
We're all taking it in. So, like they're all valid arguments. I think as far as like dialogue and things go, I think it's him finding his voice
Agreed.
before he really
Which is
settles
totally
into
fine.
his
Yeah,
dialogue
which is totally
style.
Fine. Yeah. Not against him.
Oh, for
if
sure.
he released another movie, I would totally go see it. Like, I don't think he's like a shitty filmmaker or writer or anything. Like, I'm not saying any of that. It's not gonna get a rewatch from me. It's just not worth. Like, I saw it once. I don't really need to see it again. But I'm glad I saw it. It's just not like. It's just not for me, but I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I get why a lot of people, especially like guys, are like, this is how me and my buddies talk, and we do that. It's not a big deal. And I also have a question of why was Dante in the closet in the opening?
I don't remember.
So in the opening scene, he literally falls out of his closet.
I think because he had like a rager the night before.
Yeah.
And that's where he just passed out on.
I was like, if they explain it and I missed that, please let me know.
Yeah,
in the
I think what he was
comments,
trying to
but
like
I
add.
just
Is there
don't-
just degenerate guys that work in a place that?
They're like-
I mean, I get it. Yeah, I was like, I mean, like we were all in our 20s. Well, some of us are still in our 20s, but we were all in our 20s, had ragers, and did some crazy stuff, and woke up from house parties. So I get it, but I'm just kind of like, I don't know if that's like he didn't want to explain why he was in the closet as like just a funny you'll never know.
I think that's what it is.
It
It's
was
a
like
funny,
implied that like it's funny, but he's also like in his early 20s, obviously hungover as hell. I mean, his whole dialogue in that whole film is how he's not supposed to be there that day.
Oh yeah, they let you know a bunch of times like I'm not even supposed to be here. And I think towards the end like that kind of caught up with me where like he just said it so many times where I was like, yeah, we get it. You're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Like, I totally understand. Like,
Yeah, because
not
Dante's supposed to be a
be
miserable
there.
character.
Yeah.
That's his whole
Absolutely.
shtick. And there's a bunch of people like in their early 20s who aren't happy with where their life is at that early age, working like a minimum wage job, for example. He asks those questions a bunch of times. Like with his girlfriend's like, go back to school, do something with your life.
Yeah.
But he's very complacent as well. But instead of doing something with his life, he wants to blame everybody around him. He wants to blame the girlfriend, the ex that's getting married, his friend Randall. And I think a lot of people, like you said, men will, like, in their early 20s, kind of see similarities in that storyline where they just can't change their life aspects. And I feel like that's why that movie worked for so many people in a way, because it is kind of like, a lot of people have been there. It was very, they could relate to that. That's the word I was trying to
And
look
that's
for.
that's a pro for me too. Like I totally get that aspect of it being just like you kind of feel like where he's coming from. Like I totally understand it. I get the significance behind it. Like I even at times where I feel Dante in like the sense of, gosh, is this really what I want to be doing? When is my life going to start? I'm kind of waiting for it to start, but I'm the only one holding me back kind of thing. I once again totally understand that. It's just one of those movies that I'm like, do I really need to see this again? Do I really want to go through this fast-paced dialogue of like whips and quips that like I already see on a day-to-day basis because I hear it from my friends? So I totally get it. I understand. I mean, I'll let everybody else have a chance.
To answer your question of why he was in the closet, it was because his room is too bright in the morning, so he sleeps in the closet because it's darker than his bedroom.
Do they mention that, or is
It's
that just
because
like
it's a 20.
okay.
It's like when you work the night shift or whatever.
Yeah.
Or,
No.
and then you go home and it's like 6
It's
in the
too bright
morning.
in the morning for him to go to sleep, so he sleeps in his closet.
Were blackout curtains not a thing back then, or?
I mean, they are, but can you afford them if you work a minimum wage job, gas station job in New Jersey?
Sure, they're like $7.99 at Target.
In the
Quote
90s.
me on that,
Maybe back then, not anymore.
I mean, it's 1994, so
See, but like,
a little bit cheaper.
you can't take that from that scene. You just think like, oh, he just sees shit face. He's hung over as.
That's what I
I mean,
Yeah.
it could have been. I didn't even realize. Like, I don't. If they mentioned it in the movie, I was like,
I think they mentioned it in the beginning. I remember a reference of it just being his room is too bright, but I don't know.
It looks bright.
It's
so
bright
I
as hell.
get
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I was like, I totally get it. But
See, so like,
I wrote that down. I was like, closet? Question mark?
So I think you said something that I could relate to is that like, I used to watch it a lot in my 20s, like a lot in my early 20s because I used to relate to it a lot at the time. I have not watched it that much in the last few years. Yeah. Just because at some point, you do have people that are very much like that. It gets a little too real. Where in the 20s, I remember when we first started, dating, I used to make you watch it all the time, and you just be like, why? I'm like, I like it, but like now it's been a minute. Because it's not relatable to me anymore.
Well, I think it's like once you hit and like as someone who is in like their mid 30s, like that's just I'm just calling it as my life has progressed. Like I don't know at what point like do you start hearing those types like people in their maybe even people in their 20s or even people in their 30s, even in their 40s, however you want to say it. They're complaining about their life and where it's at, and you're just like, well, like you can complain. Everybody gets like a release in life. But at what point are you just so miserable like Dante that you're just like, well, why don't you move on? Why don't you go do something about it? Because like I'm sure we're all miserable in like some way, which way I'm sure if we had a chance and we can push a button for things to be better, like absolutely do it. But I mean, like, I think that's where like I related in certain aspects to Dante, where it's just like, okay, like, maybe I could go and do this great thing and go back to school or whatever, but it takes a lot of work. And then that like laziness kicks in where you're just like, but do I really want to go back to work? And then you're just stuck in this perpetual motion of, now I'm just complaining about it because I can complain about it. And that doesn't take a lot of effort, right? Which sounds lazy just coming out of your mouth, but it is very real. Yeah. So I appreciate like Kevin Smith's writing in terms of realness because I absolutely could see anybody saying these words that they're saying. So, I mean, I get, once again, continuous. I get it. It's just not a rewatchable film for me. I saw it once. I'm good.
I think I've seen it maybe
6 times.
I was gonna say 3, but I guess 6 times. I think the first time I watched it, I was just like, why am I watching this? I didn't really care to watch it again. But I think after the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth time that I've watched it, it grew on me a little bit because I related to being a 22-year-old complaining about life, people, everything sucks mentality. And I think as I got older, I kind of see where I'm like, I don't want to be him anymore. I don't want to be constantly complaining about everything. If I hate my job, I'm just going to leave my job. Yeah. Where I'm not going to blame everything on everyone else and just assume that if I hate something, I'm going to physically change something about it. But it grew on me eventually. I didn't necessarily hate it that much, but I think it was an okay movie. It's one of his better movies that I've seen.
Yeah, and I feel like I enjoyed it, or I actually do love it more for like the appreciation that this is his first movie. He wrote it, directed it, produced it, put all the budget, and went through like so many credit cards. Almost put him like in debt because of how much like stuff he put into it. So it's more of an appreciation that like, yeah, he did it. Like he made an entire career off of this film. That's where I stand at now. Where I used to love it again, 20s. It was then. But there's scenes in this movie, just some dialogue that just makes me laugh still to this day. The Berserker scene still gets me like every time. I don't know why. It's such a dumb scene.
Would you like some making fuck Berserker?
And it still gets me. And then the Death Star 2 debate.
I love that debate.
I love it, man. Like, it's just the moment in that movie where it's like, it makes no sense. It's just thrown in there. But, like, I love it because it's just the independent contractor thing. The guy coming in, being like, my buddy was, like, did, like, the mafia guy's house. And he knew the risk going into that job. And, like, how they bring it back to the Death Star 2.
Yeah.
Like, it's just stuff like that where I'm like, all right, it still tickles my my sense of humor. So it's stuff like that more so than the story that gets me now at this point in my life.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was like I said, it's Kevin Smith finding his voice. It's his first run at something, and like maxing out all your credit cards and maxing out other credit cards to pay other credit cards off to just keep the vicious cycle going.
Yeah.
Selling all your belongings because you really want to believe in this passion so much. It's very endearing. Some of the acting at times, not great.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of people that are just people he knew.
Like his friends. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
like
think
you want to
that's,
be in a
like,
movie.
what he wanted, and I'm sure that makes it all the more believable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm totally for it.
Mhm.
Totally for it.
And I feel like it's still relatable because we all know someone, whether it's a personal friend or a family member or a friend of a friend or somebody that kind of lingers around that's like, I was going to do that, but then like, I don't know, I just didn't, like, I'm just whatever. And that whatever mentality, it's like you can change your own destiny, whatever. But
Yeah.
that whole vibe.
And like the Dante Randall, I feel like that's like a very like yin yang relationship where Randall's just very like just living, like
Yeah. I'm about it because
He's
I'm in my element because I get to talk shit to people on a day-to-day basis.
and like
I
he
love
hits
it.
Dante with some like knowledge too. Like you don't expect that from him. He's just very like careless and very just living. But like he tells Dante like, then do something, dude. Like why are you just here?
Yeah.
And like we all kind of need that friend that's kind of like grounded but also not really taking shit seriously with life. So like I also appreciated their like chemistry as well. Like it just worked together. It was just two opposite sides, but one was more serious and one was more jokey. But the jokey one was more knowledgeable about life. So yeah, there's stuff like that I enjoyed as well.
I mean, he still sold a child cigarettes, but
Well, and I think that's also, like, I was thinking about this for a while because I saw that, like, it had been preserved. Once again, like, this is another movie that we've talked about that's kind of reserved in, like, the U.S., like, registry and everything like that. But it recently, like, and by recently, I mean, like, 5 years ago got preserved. So, my question was, like, okay, like, why did it take a little bit longer for it to be preserved? Like, was it finally found? Because even, like, if you look up, like, other reviewers talking about it, like Siskel and Ebert, like, they actually really like this movie. So, I mean, obviously it's not just, like, two bros going to see it and they loved it and we're like, oh, yeah, we talk about, like, stuff all the time. Like, these are people that are actually, like, professional film reviewers that are liking it. And I think that's why I mentioned earlier I was, like, torn about liking this movie because I get the significance, like, I get the connection, I get all of that stuff. It's just, like, there were little small things that just, like, kept me from really, like, kept looking and being like, how much is left of this? Like, what's going on? Like, because I kind of get it. Like, you already hit home for me. Like, I get what you're trying to do, and it was just not my thing. I think also before I saw this movie, I knew the ending that he originally wanted to run with, which, like, spoiler if you don't know, is like
always
Michael-
spoilers on this
Yeah, I was
channel.
like,
Like,
yeah, I was like,
anytime,
you don't
if
know.
you're
I mean,
watching
it's
this,
not
spoiler.
It's really a spoiler though because it's not how the movie ended.
No,
but,
not
like,
really.
No,
the
but,
original-
I mean-
Alternate
yeah,
ending.
alternate ending.
Still.
where, like, I guess while Dante's working, he ends up getting shot and he dies, which, like, is totally depressing. and like
But that shit could happen.
Yeah.
And it like
Especially
It could be
nowadays.
anybody's
it
life.
takes like the hammer and like smashes it through the wall that like yes he wasn't supposed to be there. But I kind of also appreciated like I don't know, I kind of appreciated like kind of the darkness of it, and I felt like that would have capped it well, but then you obviously wouldn't get Clerks 2 and, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I don't know if that like kept me from liking it a little bit less, a little bit more, kept me more open-minded for the ending that he did with the first one, but
Can I ask you a random question?
yes.
So, do you think if nobody has ever talked to you about what happens in this movie as much as they've liked the movie and have hyped it up over the years, do you think you would have appreciated the movie more?
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
because that's how I felt when
Absolutely.
that's how I felt when I first watched it. Is I heard Joseph go on and on and on about the movie and how it's one of his guilty pleasure movies, favorite movies back in the time. So I went into the movie thinking like this is gonna be a great movie, and the first time I watched it, I was the same way. I'm like, okay, how much longer is
Yeah,
left
you're
in
like,
this movie?
well, no, yeah, I was kind of like,
It was
this
too much
is
hype
Like,
for
this
it,
is-
but
yeah, like this is it. This is what everybody like
Yeah.
is hyping up. Like, I kept so much from trying to like block out the noise of everybody being like, oh my god, you haven't seen Clerks? Oh, you gotta see Clerks. Oh, it's like the best movie ever. Like Kevin Smith, awesome, genius, all this stuff. And I don't disregard like I appreciate like as a filmmaker that he did like he can't like. Took out like all of his credit cards and paid for everything himself, and like I'm sure he did everything he did to make this movie, and I appreciate that to like no extent, and like I love the hard work, especially as someone who's worked in like a service industry for like almost 20 years. I understand like why is the milk lady pulling out all these milks to get the best one, or the farthest date, like the weird things that people do, especially like that you get to view from a service standpoint. I totally appreciate that in a certain way. But I was even telling Ryan when I was watching it, like if that was the point of the movie, of like you're kind of getting it from that perspective of somebody who's like a service clerk or a service industry individual, like for me personally, and I think it's just from what I do in service, I feel like Waiting did it better.
I mean, that's a great movie too, though.
It's a great
I love
movie.
that
No,
movie.
it's a great movie, and I think it's just because of my personal profession
Yeah.
that I'm in. Because I'm not a clerk. I don't work at Blockbuster like Randall. I'm sure like that connection was there, but I don't know. I think from so much that people hyped, like it's great. Kevin Smith is great. Blah blah blah. I think it just kind of was like this is it.
Yeah, word of mouth, because sometimes they value the actual product of
Yeah.
a movie. Like,
Well, then, and I always ask people, this is like my favorite like thing. It's just like if you could go back and watch one movie that you know the ending to, but you could go back and watch it and without the knowledge of how it ended, like what movie would you see? You know, kind of thing, where it's just like it's like a trick ending. You didn't know how like the twist or anything like that. And I feel like this is kind of in that same parallel, but like I just want to go back not knowing anything, anybody's opinion, and just see like how it would be different. Obviously can't, but that's where I'm at. So with that, I would give Clerks.
heartbreaking.
It's not gonna be that heartbreaking. I'm not gonna give it like negative or 0. Like I would probably give this. I'm gonna be nice and give it 2 out of 5 poppies. Just because I understand like the significant, I understand why everybody likes it. Like I'm not like, oh my god, this is garbage. Why do people like this? I totally understand. It's just for me personally, if I'm gonna choose a movie on like a Saturday morning to watch or like a Sunday night while I'm getting ready for like work the next day or whatever, I'm not gonna watch it. It's just not my choice.
All right.
I would give it a 3 out of 5 poppies.
Okay.
Just because I didn't enjoy it the first few times I watched it, but it grew on me. I don't hate it. It's just a whatever movie. Yes, Joseph?
Yeah, I feel like if early 20s Joseph just watched it the first time, I would probably give it a 4.5. But Joseph, in reality now,
I would give it 100 poppies.
Just fill
it
the
would be
screen with
different.
poppies.
Yeah, I would be glazing this movie right now if I just watched it in my 20s. I'm at a 3.5 right now in life. I think it still holds up for me just for certain aspects of the film, but there are other aspects that I used to love that I don't love as much now rewatching it.
Ryan?
Interesting. For me, I will give it. I'll give it 2.5 poppies.
Ooh, I thought you were gonna
2.5.
give at least a 3.
No,
I did too.
It is a good movie. There are things that I do have gripes with, obviously, like acting and dialogue, and it's neither here nor there. I do identify with this movie because of all of the, menial jobs that I've had over the years, and I get all the dumbass questions that come with it, and I'm like, I get it. But yeah, it's not one that I go. I find myself that I go to other movies before I go to Clerks.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of agree with you when you said that, like, waiting does it better, but it is more of a niche market.
Yeah. It's
where
very
waiting
specific.
is more, obviously waiting, doing table service, restaurants and things, and Clerks is more any man job, more of a generic thing. They try to hit a broader audience, possibly. But it is also trapped in like a time capsule where it is also very 90s, very this, whatever.
Yeah.
Which is where I think Clerks 2 comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it adds a different layer
I
to
do
the
have
story.
one last question about Clerks, and I don't know if this is another thing that can be answered, but
Maybe.
I know in the movie he does like put up like those markers where it's almost like an act 1, act 2. He doesn't say act 1, act 2, but like it's like he says like different things. There
is a reason.
Is there a reason? Okay,
Absolutely.
I was gonna say
It
that's
has
fine.
to do with it being loosely related to the Divine Comedy,
Interesting.
which is why his name is Dante Hicks.
Got it. Interesting. Okay,
So
so
there are
see,
9
and that
breaks
makes me
in
like
it.
a little bit more because like I read the Divine Comedy in high school and I appreciate.
Yeah.
I like
everything
all
dealing
the
with
everyone's
all that.
rendition, and everyone kind of tackles it differently.
Okay.
I always enjoy that as well. Like,
So then see like so knowing that now, even like just even on camera now, like I almost wonder if I like it a little bit more because I'm starting to like go through my brain of like, okay, so like is this now a connection with like a certain level of hell or purgatory?
It is.
If you will?
It is.
You
Yeah.
know,
There are
so
9
so,
breaks in
okay,
the
so
movie.
now that like broadens
9
my,
circles
like,
of
thought
All right,
process
slap it
on
on. We're
it.
watching it right now. Let's put it.
Because now I didn't even think that I didn't bridge the connection. So like that honestly opens my mind a little bit more to liking it a little bit more.
it's got
so,
a little more zhuzh to it now.
Well, yeah. So now like maybe so no
More
so now,
appreciation.
Well, no, now yeah. So yeah, like I might appreciate it a little bit more knowing that he might have tried to make that connection.
That was
so
the
it makes
attempt,
me-
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
that
like,
was
so
the-
now it makes me want to do
Because-
more of a now
yeah.
it makes me want to rewatch it and see if there's any other more connections
Exactly.
that can kind of
Yeah. The feeling of being in the ninth
Putting it on.
circle of hell
yeah.
in your daytime
Is that
bullshit
his
job.
ninth circle? That's his ninth circle.
No, I'm just saying.
I was gonna say,
Like
there's
that's
so
not the
much
that's
worse
not the ninth
things.
circle.
Like,
It's
there's
just
so much
as
worse.
a whole that is hell.
Well, no, but I'm
Yeah.
wondering, like, because, like, it's like a journey. So, like, are we journeying with him through anything? Because to me, if that's the case, it doesn't. It seems really
Loosely.
flat.
Loosely.
It seems
It's very
flat.
loose.
Like, it's not like there's no up and then down. Well, there's an up in, like, in which he thinks he has a day off, and then there's the down. And it can spiral down. But then if you would have killed him in the end, then it would have completed that
Yeah.
Divine Comedy parallel. But since it didn't, and then you also have sequels to it.
I feel like his down in that movie was more specifically the ex coming back, and then obviously sleeping with the dead guy in the bathroom, and then him knowing that's not an option anymore because she goes crazy. I feel like for them, like his options are dwindling down.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was the whole like
It
aspect
seems
of that
more
film.
like just bad lucky, like
Yeah,
kind of just like shitty situation, wrong
Yeah.
place, wrong time,
Yeah.
kind of things. I don't know.
it was very much like a 20-year-old's bad day.
Yeah.
And also, we at this point we have. I don't want to fuck with the timeline or in the future or the past or whatever, but we have talked about Weekend at Bernie's at this point, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is now the second movie that we've seen where someone sleeps with another dead body.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
I think didn't I tell
You brought that up, and I was like, "Wait, I didn't want to mess."
totally forgot about that.
Terminator timeline, you guys. Sorry about that.
time-
I
space
was
continuum.
Like, I feel like I wrote that in my notes at some point, but I don't remember. I might have. I don't know. I have no idea.
Either way, yeah.
Yeah, I was
I'm like, damn, how many
Back-to-back
people, how many bitches are sleeping with dead bodies?
Oh,
We didn't know it was that type of podcast.
Oh my god,
That was sequels.
Jesus Christ!
Well, going into that, I guess now we can get into Clerks 2, which originally, did you know, was supposed to be called The Passion of the Clerks, but was not named.
No,
that.
it did not.
No, it wasn't.
Earlier.
That was the original title for Clerks 2.
Wait,
Was
when did Passion of the Christ come out?
before this
Yeah,
one.
that was around that time, yeah.
So originally that was the title of the name. That's what he was going for. He got a lot of backlash for it.
Of
You gotta remember,
course.
like he was going for that because the movie he did
Yeah,
before that,
Dogma, right?
other than was
2004.
Dogma.
Yes.
Yeah, and Dogma.
2004. She was
2004?
right.
Yeah.
Oh, you called it?
2004, Passion of Christ.
Nice.
So Dogma comes out. That's what he wanted to do another one. And then what ended up happening is he got a lot of pushback for it. Decided I'm just gonna go with Clerks 2. Also, another fun fact: when Dogma came out, Esquire magazine named Kevin Smith the next Martin Scorsese.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a
I mean, that's a really good compliment for somebody. If Esquire magazine said anything about me ever, I'd be like,
I don't
thank
know.
you.
Yeah, I was like, I'm very like.
Thank
the
you so
reasoning
much.
why because of Dogma was like taking chances like Martin does, but I'm like,
I mean, kind of.
yeah.
Kind
Kind
of.
of.
So I loosely remember seeing I never watched Dogma. So
I've
that's
never
why
seen it
That's
either.
why I don't claim it to
Ben
be
Affleck
my
classic.
first Kevin
I mean,
Smith.
yeah, Matt Damon
So,
classic.
Because I think I might have been 6 or 7 when that came out.
Yeah.
And my parents rented it, so I remember seeing pieces of it.
I mean, it is a Chris Rock classic, so.
That's true.
I remember pieces. I really don't know anything much about it. I just remember pieces. I know you always say I think you really like it because
You
of
would
the
because of the
details.
things that you like.
Yeah, the thing-
And
yeah, the
especially
things
with
of
the Dante's Inferno thing. Like,
yeah,
you know,
I
it all
love
kinda-
Yeah.
stuff like that. I
Yeah.
love anything to deal with the 7 deadly sins kind of stuff. So anything like that, I'm in. But I don't really remember too much. And at the time, I think being 6, I'm like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of the Kevin Smith movies till my 20s. I remember loosely watching stuff here and there, but never. I think the only one I watched early age was Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. That was the only one I honestly remember.
See, and that's the one thing I can get behind with all of these movies is I actually really like Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh, I can't stand them.
So I
can't.
I don't hate it.
Dare
Damn
you?
them.
That's
hate
even
it.
more disrespectful than Alien.
They almost remind me of
Get over yourself.
Did you guys ever watch what is it all those old cartoons kind of Rocky and Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff
Mhm.
where there's always a side they're not villains but kind of the two side villains Boris and Natasha they kind of remind me of that where it's just they flip over and they kind of got their own thing going on and it's really funny because they're just kooky and weird and but the main story is the two that's what it made me think of.
No, yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like that's kind of what that goes for because, I mean, technically they are a comic
Yeah.
eventually within the universe.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've
The
always
the
called
View
it-
Askew universe.
Yeah.
That's because the first movie I ever saw was without not knowing it, just flipping through channels and being like, oh, I'm intrigued in this dialogue that's happening in this very intimate scene where you're not being shown what's happening. It's just people talking about what's happening. And that was Chasing Amy.
I love them.
And then finding out years later, rewatching and be like, that was the movie I was watching. Oh, okay, I get
Yeah.
that makes more sense now in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, and I also feel a lot of pressure with Chasing. I've not seen Chasing Amy.
No, I don't ever.
I feel no, because everybody. I've told a few people that I didn't like Clerks, and then we're gonna talk about Clerks too, but they're like, oh, well, you would like Chasing Amy, and I told Ryan this. I was like, I don't know if the reason I would like if everybody's saying that is because I'm a female. Or if I identify as
No. It has nothing to
Yeah,
do
it
with
has
being
nothing to do with that.
female
No.
Okay, I
or
was
male
gonna
or
say.
anything like that. It just has to do with relationships.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a rom-com.
Sex and
Yeah.
relationships, and
Friendships,
Yeah.
a lot
Friendship.
of yeah.
'Cause that's my
encompassing
point. I was
all
like,
of
that was
those
I
my
elements.
actually
question.
really like Chasing Amy. It's
Yeah.
actually my favorite Kevin Smith movie
Yeah,
that
mine
I've
too,
seen.
actually.
Joseph actually really likes Chasing Amy. He's the one who showed it to me,
Ooh.
and I really liked it. I've seen it a handful of times at this point.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was
I
like, I'm
think-
definitely open to it. I'm just I just feel like now the words are starting to come in
Yeah.
where everybody's like, oh, well, you didn't like Clerks? Oh, well, you gotta watch Chasing Amy. Yeah, I'll love you.
Yeah, they're trying to make it
Chasing-
like an
oh,
alternative,
definitely love Chasing
like,
Amy.
yeah.
Gotta watch
Yeah.
it.
I mean-
Which, for me, I'm actually more interested to see Mallrats.
I love
Great
Mallrats.
time.
I've never seen it.
I love
I've never
Mallrats.
seen it. I'm definitely, I was like, I definitely would like to see it. That's why I was saying, I don't hate
Easter
this
Bunny
movie.
scene?
I don't hate Clerks. I don't hate Kevin Smith. I think I'm just very particular in what I'm looking for.
I feel like in the future maybe we could do that. Like after maybe say you do watch it in the near future, and we could do a short about it and say this is my
Marissa's
thought. Yeah,
Kevin
my
Smith
my thoughts on
journey.
it. Yeah, updates on the Kevin Smith
Yeah, you could
journey
do one every
because
time
it's
you
a
watch
whole
one of
universe.
Yeah,
You
because
know.
I'll talk about Tusk. I'll talk about Yoga Hosers. I'll talk about it.
I mean,
No,
those
Yoga
are those are
Hosers
the
is
Yoga
rough.
Hosers is
rough.
That was the
rough.
first Kevin
Those are
Smith
the
movie.
worst
I
ones.
love
I just shut off 10
I
minutes
love
in.
so bad.
I'm like,
I don't blame-
I can't do
I
that.
never finished.
I can't
Yoga
stand behind
Hosers.
it.
I
Yeah.
walked
Yoga
away
Hosers
from
is
Joseph. I was
just
like, I'm
so
done.
bad. I
I'm
gave it a
leaving.
chance because it was Kevin Smith, and it just 10 minutes in, I'm like, this is not for me.
We went off on side
Yeah.
conversations there, and I'm sure that was not
Oh,
pleasant.
No, it wasn't great.
I'm sure that
We'll
was
clean it up.
not.
Sorry, Moni.
Oh, it's
Clerks
fine.
two.
Yeah. So back in the Clerks 2.
But talking about Jay and Silent Bob, so I've always treated these like Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Clerks 2, Jay and Silent Bob as the Jay and Silent Bob universe because they are very big part of every single movie. They have moments
Yeah.
where they're there. It's basically like their universe. And I think again the dogma thing, he brings Christianity at some point in this because Jay and Silent Bob are like born again Christians all of a sudden in Clerks 2. And, like they're not doing drugs, but they're still selling them.
I
like,
think that scene's really funny when he's like, "Did you know Jesus was a Jew?" And like Ethan Suplee's like, "Yeah," like yeah, everybody knows that.
See, I think a good thing about you bring the idea of like spirituality in the movie. When I rewatched it, I also I found Clerks 2 as a way to bring up the idea of God and Christianity, but also mock the idea of like traditional Christianity, which I feel like Jay and Silent Bob do a lot of in this movie. I also think, what was it like? Sober Jay wears like a Got Christ shirt throughout the movie.
The one where he's like doing like that. Is it that?
Yeah,
one?
like what is it, Buddy
That
Buddy
one.
Christ?
Yeah.
And then
And
you
this is what
also
he was
have
doing,
Yes.
Okay.
you also
I
have,
like the side cover,
what's
though.
his name? Elias, the one who works at the store.
Elias,
Yeah,
Oh,
When
I
he,
love that.
Elias is so great. He's a great part of that
a
movie.
great
Yeah.
addition to the cast. For
when
sure.
he's masturbating, and then he's just like, "Forgive me, Jesus." And I was just like, it's like that's how I saw it. It's like you're bringing up God, but you're also making fun of the idea of like traditional Christianity, which
Well, that
I
Randall's
enjoyed
trying to
them a little
corrupt them.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
with the
It's
fucking
Randall's fault.
with the trolls.
yeah.
Oh my god! I remember that because we were doing separate things at the time, working on separate things, and then I just hear Marissa just, "Oh my god," and I'm like, "What?" And I come out, and it's the scene where they're talking about pillow pants, and that scene is so great because you just see the lighting just subtly changes on Randall's face of like the horror of listening to this troll that lives in your girlfriend's vagina. Cracks me up. I don't know why.
So with that, and us getting into Clerks 2, that's the one thing that I do have to say, which is you never go ass to mouth.
I was waiting for someone to jump into it, and I was gonna be like, I mean, you know, whatever. So, you know, hey, you guys do your own thing out there.
I was like listening to that whole thing, and I was just like, and like the whole time I was like, you never do that. You never go ass to
No,
mouth.
well, I mean, you know who did? Human
Several
Centipede.
people, several
Yeah,
people.
they
Oh, I'm not naming.
Several
I'm not
people
naming
did.
names on people. God damn.
I didn't say in this room, man.
Well, okay. Anyway, this one also. not in.
That's how cold sores happen.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Whoa.
Also, Clerks 2, not in black and white anymore. It does start off that way when they're in New Jersey and the
Yeah,
police
Yes.
stop
he
is
kind
burning
of shows
down.
where he
Yeah.
came from.
And then it goes into color. Very Wizard of Ozzy. It felt like, which he said also.
Yeah, like
was,
the fire is colored. But
Yeah.
like
yeah, in the
rest
back,
of it,
in
yeah.
the reflection of.
So
it.
he like I think we talked about it separately before the pod was like he says that like it was supposed to be black and white, but honestly he couldn't afford to color it, right? Or what was
Oh,
it?
Clerk for the first one,
first
right?
Clerks,
Yeah.
The first Clerks, yes,
Yeah.
but I say it was because the at the time, black and white film was cheaper to buy, and also with the color correcting, yes, with the
Yeah.
lighting, because also they had to film overnight,
Mm.
so he would do a 12-hour shift, close it at a certain time because you couldn't film during working hours,
Mm.
and then go on until 4 a.m. earlier. And
Filming.
then maybe get 2 hours of sleep and go back into
Yeah.
the next day's shift.
And it was just an easier process to do. So this one now has that scene when now they're working on movies and now it's in color. So my question for you guys, what would you guys prefer? Do you guys prefer the black and white? Do you guys prefer the color from the first Clerks and the second
Oh,
Clerks?
No, I know that.
Pointing.
I know it just because I remember
Pointing at me.
because we watched it together, and I remember you saying something specifically of how maybe they could have done it different to bring it from black and white into the color universe, so to speak. You said something at the time. I forget. I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot. I don't mean to do that.
I'm
I
trying to
retract my
remember
statement
what
right
I
now.
did-
I'm so
no,
sorry.
I'm trying to remember what I did say because I'm like, did I write this down? And
No,
then
you
I'm like,
didn't. You
I
did. It was just
totally
something you
didn't.
subtly mentioned to me, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. There's something.
Can you edit the cricket noise in there? Like,
Yes, I can.
Yes,
Absolutely.
the whole audience is doing it
Like
right
just
now.
be
They're
like,
like, well, they're probably thinking of one too. Being
My
like,
gentle listener of the podcast.
Dear gentle listener.
"Dear
Gentle listener, Marissa said that maybe there
I
could have been.
honestly- I'm trying to think of it. I'm like looking at my notes and I'm like, I honestly.
You
don't
didn't write
know.
it down, but it was just something like I think maybe if they did this different, and it would have been a better
What
transition.
was it? Do you
I,
remember?
I don't remember.
This is why I need to.
but was there a
just write it down.
preference
Just
from
write it
anybody?
down.
Did you prefer it being in color? Did you prefer? it
I think
being-
it's a good change. I think like yeah, it's totally fine. I get why you made it in black and white. It makes a statement, I guess. And now with Clerks 2, there's a bigger budget.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There's bigger everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Characters,
Yeah.
writing,
Mm-hmm.
events that happen within the movie that we'll get into.
I actually preferred it in color over it being black and white. I tend to not pay attention a lot to black and white movies. I don't know if I maybe think that it's just an old movie.
Uncultured.
Probably. But I liked it in color. I feel like it added a lot to the movie, especially now that they're working at what's it called?
Movies.
Fast
I
food
feel
joint.
like it added a lot to.
Holy shit.
I feel like
That's
it added
the
a
movie
lot
right
to.
there. That's the movie
That
right
is.
there.
I feel like it added a lot to the story.
Jesus Christ.
It also made me appreciate the Golden Calf movies. I feel like I just would not have
Wait, what the
enjoyed.
what?
You mean the mascot movie?
Yeah, the mascot.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I was like,
It's a baby
Where?
cow.
I
It's a
know,
baby
but
cow.
I'm like,
Yeah,
where are you
yeah.
going with this?
Because they do burgers and
It just
Yeah.
a movie.
I forgot his name. But I feel like it made me enjoy the movie a lot more, pay
Okay.
attention to it, and I don't know. I enjoyed it. I liked it better in color.
No, I mean, I thought it did add value to the film, especially because movies is like purple, like the logo and stuff
Yeah.
really stands out more.
Laker
The-
colors.
Laker
Yeah.
colors.
It
I was
wouldn't-
about to be
yeah,
like,
well, yeah.
Also, not filmed in New Jersey anymore. They've moved the scene films to California, so that's a big difference now. He's Hollywood now. He's not doing the New Jersey
I mean, it wasn't
student
filmed
film
though.
anymore.
Yeah, he's
doing
not Hollywood. He's in Buena Park.
Oh, I
Ooh.
mean, that's
Such a
true.
big jump, such
That's a
big
big jump. Yeah, at a
But
abandoned
it's still
Burger
se-
King.
it's not. But it's not.
Yeah,
but
bacon
it's
and
not
Burger King.
set in Buena Park.
No, it's set
No,
in New
it's set in
Jersey.
New
It's still,
Jersey.
it's
Still
I just
set
want
in-
to know
always
for,
set
like,
in New
people, yeah,
Jersey.
like for people,
No,
like,
yeah.
we know that it's not.
He just did
set
not
in
want to go
Buena Park.
back and film there. He wanted a different setting to film at. Obviously, location-wise, he had an easier time finding a location in California than New Jersey.
Yeah.
And
Um, I
'Cause it's,
love.
You know, so it's so cheap here to get real estate in
know.
California.
I love Rosario Dawson's character in this. She
I
adds so much to the
love
film.
her
I
character.
think she added that. Where like his love interest in the first one, I didn't really care for. They're very like hit or miss to me.
Yeah.
And Rosario Dawson, I'm like, yeah, I mean, she's a pretty good actress, you know, like,
that is true.
She made me enjoy the movie a lot more.
yeah,
She is an actress.
she
Yes.
is, yeah. So there's that value that we're getting, actually, like
What?
actors to this film.
She is an actress.
She is an actress. I'm not saying whether it's better or worse, but
Oh, okay.
there's more
You
budget.
just said it like in the terms of like, so there's like a critic word that is used in theater very often, which is the word interesting, which kind of can go like right or left, right?
Exactly.
It's like, ooh, that's
I'm
so
leaving
interesting,
it
or it's like,
open-ended.
that's
Open-ended.
interesting.
Okay, I got you.
Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
that's why I was like, I looked at you, I was like,
It doesn't
and I was
matter.
like, did you not like her?
But there are actually people in this film that have acted before.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Instead of
Yes.
just getting like the
Me-
friends back into the fold. It's like, no, I'm actually going to have a budget for an actual cast and actually people that I could like work with and have done scripts before and done other
Cameos
projects.
and-
Yeah, cameos.
Yeah,
and
you
stuff
have
like
Wanda
that.
Sykes is in this
Wanda
one too?
Sykes is in this film, which
To name
yeah, to name
She's
a
the only
few.
one I can
One.
name.
Wanna get into the specific
one,
scene,
not
but, yeah.
not Jason Lee or
Jason Lee.
I think I literally put like Wanda Sykes like LOL question mark. Like,
Yeah, it was
randomly.
random.
it wasn't.
But then
No.
a few lines above that, like in my notes, I was just like, oh, Jason Lee, like, could I love him anymore? Like,
Looking straight
love
off the
Jason Lee.
straight off the set of My Name Is Earl too. Just
I
with the
love,
Oh,
mustache
yeah,
and
dude. He had,
everything.
like, the whole-
like,
yeah,
oh,
they
there,
had the
come
whole
on.
thing
love
going.
Jason Lee.
He's great in it.
And Batflick, of course.
Batflick, yeah, they
Random, but not really.
Oh, okay.
I guess.
No,
Not-
because-
were they playing the
Well,
same
knowing what I know.
characters?
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
knowing
Well,
knowing what I know.
I feel like technically
Were they both?
Affleck was supposed to be yes. Maybe not. I don't know about Jason Lee or
Okay.
not, but it's
Wasn't
just
a
supposed to
tracer
be
anymore.
like I don't know.
Okay.
But if I had to guess, possibly. But then why wouldn't they show up together? Because I feel like they would still be friends. Possibly.
Well, that's a different. Yeah, that's a different.
You know,
movie.
yeah, but it is-
that's
But it is within the universe. Well, it's not. I mean, it's a spoiler
No,
for
yeah.
another movie entirely.
but it
at
is in that
point.
Jay and Silent Bob universe where they're all.
Yes.
like-
No, you're correct.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a few, and then again, there's other hits from Clerks that they kind of bring into this one. The Lord of the Rings Star Wars debate
Yes.
Oh,
always
so fun.
gets me,
Mhm.
dude.
Good.
Every single time when Randall does like this is the movie and he just walks back, drops the ring. It just
And
every
then just
time.
Yeah. I feel like I appreciated the dialogue a lot better in this movie
Okay.
than I did in the first one. Bringing back to like the Star Wars Lord of the Rings conversation that they had in the first one and in the second one. I also enjoyed their conversation like they had. Like I thought it was just like witty conversation about their whole discussion between Anne Frank and Helen Keller. I was not expecting it. I will leave it at that.
I forgot about that.
He's gonna bring that one up.
I won't bring up other things, but I'll bring that one up.
I mean, yeah.
It was just random. I wasn't expecting it, and I just thought it was interesting that they added to it. Then you have like the whole like Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings. It was just random things that they brought up that I was just like, this is not where I pictured this movie going. And I will leave it at that. I won't say more.
I did, yeah. No, he has a very eccentric sense of humor.
Yeah.
To put it nicely, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just want to jump into like the main pool here and just be like, I know Joseph kind of asked me specifically when we talked about Clerks about how I felt about it because of everything. So I just want to circle back and follow up to that comment and just say that I really liked Clerks 2.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
I really liked Clerks 2. Not like favorite movie status, but like I think it also has something to do with like it has this like esque about it. It's very early 2000s. I love early 2000s movies. Like I know that not a lot of them are great, especially if you're talking like horror movies early 2000s. But there's just something about like any comedy, action, like I don't know what I don't know if it's like nostalgia or anything, but I just anytime I watch a movie and I end up finding it, I'm like, oh, it's in the early 2000s. Like I just end up liking it more somehow for some reason, and it's just more entertaining in a way. But I really appreciated Clerks 2 a lot more. Definitely agree what you guys said with Rosario Dawson. I thought she was a great, like, phenomenally great addition. I thought the dialogue in this one was so much better. You can really see, like, the acting improvements on everybody in the cast. Like, there was even moments where I would, like, was looking at Randall and I was like, oh my gosh, are you having, like a redemption arc right now? And then, like, things happened and things were said and then he tried to bring something back. That made me not think that, but I definitely I got definitely more of a feel for their friendship. I mean, like I got it from the first one, but this one I feel like really solidified, that scene that they have in like the jail cell together. Like that one really like touched me on a personal level. So I definitely appreciated just kind of everything more that happened in this one. I think it just more solidified the fact though for me that like Dante is just not a good human being at all.
No. Yeah.
Terrible human being.
He's just the personification of a miserable fuck.
Yeah, and then his girl, and I wrote down when they introduced his like girlfriend fiance.
Yeah.
I was like, his girlfriend fiance. Like I know that's what is that Kevin Smith's real life wife?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Apologies to Kevin Smith and his wife, but I put down she looks like if you put Sherry Moon Zombie in the microwave for too long.
Oh my god.
It's accurate. I can see it.
I mean that in the
I can definitely see that. She is a lady. I do not know her personally, and I know that she is in various other projects going from here forward.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Because I don't know exactly when she started popping up in his other projects.
I mean, originally he wanted her to be the love interest in Chasing Amy.
So
Shit.
So she popped up like Sherry Moon Zombie did in all of Rob Zombie movies.
Pretty much.
Yeah. That's what it is. Unless like he wanted her to have a bigger role in a lot of his films, but thankfully she was very much like no.
Yeah, I'll do things where I want to do things or whatever. If you
And,
need
like,
somebody.
Good for her.
Dante's reasoning for marrying that character is basically just money.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not even like
It fell
It's
into
just a
my
terrible
lap.
human
I didn't have to do anything. It just sort of happened, and I'm just flowing along this river of life.
Yeah, and it's the choices that he makes where that he still complains about him, but so like it just carries over. They're just like in their 30s now, so that's just like the only difference. And again, Randall's still like, no, there's things we can do. That's why I love the jail cell scene when they both are like, we could just buy like the Quick Stop and be our own bosses for once. Why don't we just do this?
Yeah.
And like it takes Jay and Silent Bob's money from the comics to make that happen. So it does all come together nicely. But yeah, Dante's terrible. Dante is not a redeeming character whatsoever. Like,
I know. I keep even Dante and Randall. I'm both like I'm trying to find like there's moments where they have like that redemption and there's like this like light at the end of the tunnel and then something else happens and I'm like, oh my god, just there's no redemption here.
No.
Like Dante's always cheating on everybody, and I once again more questions that I have just about the film randomly. Like what's with the nail polish? in the foot thing? Is that like a foot fetish that somebody has? Is that a character trait?
Possibly.
Is it something?
There was a fact about, but now I can't remember it.
I
There
can't
was
remember
something
it
about
either.
Yeah.
Doesn't Dante paint his girlfriend's nails in the first one,
The
right?
first one,
first one
yeah.
and in the second one. That's why
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
like, is this like a fetish? Is this like a character thing?
I
that
did-
he
it's-
just
it was
chose to
something.
do?
It
I
was-
forgot to
there
look
was-
that part
yeah.
up.
Yeah, I was like,
That was the one of the things that I was like, oh yeah, I'm
I don't
supposed to
know why
look
not, 'cause
that up.
it's Tarantino that has one too, right?
Well,
Oh,
Tarantino
yeah. Oh, Tarantino's, yeah.
obviously has a foot
But I don't
fetish.
know if
We
it's
know.
a.
I think
nod to
everybody
it,
That's
knows
like
that
known.
now.
There was a
Yeah, I don't think
specific
that's
thing
known.
about it. That's what I'm trying to remember.
He likes it.
Yeah, there was something.
I,
about it.
I don't know if there's a specific thing
yeah.
other than he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
put your
Yeah.
put your feet on the windshield.
Yeah, because I remember.
Yeah, squish on the eyeball with your bare feet.
Just like getting those
Oh,
Toes.
yeah.
It was one time.
Wiggle them for me.
It was one time. But I think this Clerks 2 was really where I didn't like Clerks. I went throughout Clerks, and then I immediately dove into Clerks 2. And it took me until the scene where they go karting for it really to like just like click into my brain of just like, oh my god, I get it. Like, I get why he's doing these movies. I totally understand where he's coming from. Like, once again, Clerks, not my cup of tea. But I understood more why he made certain choices, especially with the writing, especially with the characters. That it's just like, these guys are just, they're your high school friends
Yeah.
that are always going to be goofy, immature, like, lovable, possible douchebags that just, like, want to have a good time. And they're still stuck in, like, how old are these characters now? And they're still stuck in that, like,
Yeah.
we're in high school mentality, which, like, can be fun at parties, and that's great. It's a good party trick.
But everyday life.
But, like, you're just never, like, fully there and never really responsible. And, like, as much as, like, the humor can maybe be high school related, like, these guys never really took
An initiative to get
like,
anywhere.
they never did anything to do, and like if that, it was possibly just handed to them, such as like his fiance, his parents having the money and trying to do all this stuff for them. So I think that's what also kind of just like brought me back to reality of like, oh, I get it, I get why he's doing this, I get what he's writing, but at the same time, I mean, it's hard for me to support characters that like are either just like given something. And maybe that changes. I haven't seen Clerks 3, so I don't know what becomes of them in the future, and I'm open to it. I even told Ryan, I was like, I really want to see where this goes.
I have not seen it either. I just
I
hear
haven't
it's
seen it
very.
either.
I was like, I
emotional.
really want to see where it goes, and like maybe things change in Clerks 3 that make this reality a little bit more realistic. But at the same time, like I still feel like it's slightly almost hard for me to care about these characters. Like I definitely care for Rosario Dawson at a certain point. Like obviously she knows Dante is with his fiance and everything, so it's kind of like hard to support her in some ways, but at the same time I think that she just has like a likability about her. I feel like in a lot of roles that I've seen her in, she's just very, very likable, very fun, very goofy.
I feel like she's just endearing as a
Yeah.
character.
I want to see her supported. Like I want to see her push through. I'm rooting for her.
Because technically, she's not even supposed to be there today. She was only supposed to help her dad out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then he just progressed too far into
So
his
that
sickness
kind of
to where
like
it.
theme rolls
Yeah.
into like the second one. And then I love Elias. I think he's adorable. Like
Yeah.
just like complete mess. Just stuff like the pillow, the
Lester Fiend.
Yeah, I think that third character to Dante and Randall, that's
so
like
funny.
corrupting him throughout that film, and him having to work with them, did add value to that film. Like it added more to it than just Dante and Randall.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel like Randall's like passion when he's just like, no, I don't want. You're my friend. Like, of course I don't want you to leave. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm stuck here with like the kid. I'm stuck here with this dead ass job. Like, so I definitely loved that passion because I feel like at some point we've all had like a friend move away or like move on with their lives, and it kind of just hits a little bit where you're like, man, I really wish they wouldn't have gone, or I wish they could stay, but you don't want to be selfish and you want them to go succeed and live their life. But with Dante, it's not even like he's going to succeed somewhere. Like he's marrying for money, and even more so, like he does stay behind and they end up doing this thing together, which is kind of, I guess, more a fulfilling end to him just leaving. So I don't know. I kind of like that more. And then I love the movies. I think that's great. I wanted to get you that pop. I saw it. I was like, this would be fun. Or the slippers. I wanted to get Mooney like the movies, little slippers with the little cows.
Side question: did you ever eat at the movies pop-ups
No.
when they happened again when 3 came
Yeah,
out?
I missed out on that.
Yeah.
Did you?
I did not, unfortunately, but I heard from people that it was like it was a nice nostalgic thing.
Yeah.
Not to say the food was star quality,
No,
but I don't think
didn't
any
give away like
movies.
Happy Meals or some shit. Like
It was
that,
essentially
a
like
variation
going
of
to
it.
like a
A
burger
movie meal.
Burger King ghost kitchen type of deal.
Yeah.
Like it is
I mean,
what
that's
it
what it
is.
was made out of, right? Wasn't it a Burger King?
Yeah, it was an
Yeah.
abandoned
Burger
Burger King. Yeah.
So one thing that I found out that was pretty interesting about this film after searching about it and more after we watched it, I didn't know that it premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, and it got an 8-minute standing ovation. Why?
I mean,
have
so did Tusk.
no
I mean,
idea.
I'll tell you why.
Did it really?
2 words.
Oh,
Yeah, it did.
Donkey
8
scene.
minutes.
Kiki Kelly and the sexy
Oh,
stud.
jeez.
Standing
Where's
ovation.
Kiki Kelly?
They're
Kelly could be a guy or a girl's name. Still dance. So stupid.
They went on for so long. It just
Yeah.
went on for so
That was what she
long.
kept saying. I was like, it's so
I
long.
was like, it's still going.
We're still talking about this right now.
When he's in the bathroom, dude, he's like, no, I can't look away.
It's the year that the term donkey punch was invented.
Oh,
Oh.
You can cut that out.
leave it.
Keep it.
No, but yeah, so 8 minutes. I think
It had an
Tusk-
8.
That's
It had-
the situation.
Are you gonna say Tusk had like a 12-minute saying?
No,
of it?
had
he said it had
something.
the same. He said like
Yeah,
it had
Tusk
like an
was
8-minute
premiered
thing.
there.
Like,
Yeah.
Why?
Get the fuck out of
Why?
here.
I don't
Why?
know, because
Why?
It was a movie.
it was a film.
It was.
It was a
Why?
movie. I get it. It was funny, but like,
Was it though?
bro. Well, if you're there for the whole backstory and like, yeah,
the
if you-
podcast.
the
that was actually a
exactly.
thing that happened on
And
Kevin
just
Smith's
listen to
podcast.
that
Where
forever and ever.
there was that flyer. It was a real thing. Just they didn't turn him. They just want somebody to dress up in like a Tusk, a Warless costume, and just be there. And Kevin Smith took that, made a podcast. They turned it into a horror movie on the podcast, and they're like, "We should make this." And he made it, and that's the origins of Tusk.
Are we
Weird.
gonna get an Origin Tusk movie now? Or?
I mean, there's a
Well,
sequel
do
in the
we?
works.
So do we consider Yoga Hosers a sequel to Tusk? Because
Has it stated at all?
well,
It's like a
it's like
spin-off
the
of
same
Tusk.
thing as like,
Yeah.
why would Glass Onion be a sequel to
Knives Out.
Knives Out?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's necessarily a sequel. It's just like it's kind of like
It's a James Bondy kind of thing.
no,
true.
well, yes and no. I feel like it's very much like what is it, like the Hardy Boys?
Like an anthology series
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah, where it's just like it's the same. You're following the same character, but under certain like circumstances, like same kind of like
Exactly.
Reacher. Like we just finished Reacher season 2, so it's like very, yeah, like it's you're just following one character. So in that premise, like, is it a sequel? Because a sequel, as we discussed in the intro, is very much a continuous story. So
That was
what-
the main thing that
Yeah,
I
it's
had
like,
a
so
problem
what-
with.
yeah,
so
so what-
no.
Yeah. So what is the continuous story? Is it the continuous story of one character, or is it a town? Is it a, like,
To be fair, I haven't seen Yoga Hosers, but I do know
Ain't missing
that
much.
the oh yeah, I, heard,
I
that's-
saw 10 minutes of it.
No.
that
That was all
a
it's-
certain character from Tusk is present in Yoga Hosers. Is
Well,
he
3 of
not?
them.
In all 3, right? Because into
3 characters in Yoga Hosers. Are
Oh,
in
okay,
Tusk.
okay, gotcha.
They're the 2 main are in the convenience store in Tusk.
Johnny
he's-
Depp's daughter and
Johnny Depp.
yes,
Kevin
It's
Smith's daughter,
Kevin
right?
Smith's daughter,
yeah,
Harley
Harley
Quinn.
Quinn and
Yeah.
Johnny Depp's daughter.
Yeah,
whatever her
and,
name.
and Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp's daughter. Whatever that name is.
Whatever.
Yeah. Whatever
Yeah,
Depp.
Whatever Depp, yeah. And then those 3 are in Tusk. I think Harley and Depp's daughter only have like a 2-minute scene because he's looking for the actual house. He's looking
Yes,
for,
I do.
for the
It's
map.
all coming back.
and
to
they
me.
took that one scene and turned it into a whole nother movie, which was just terrible. Just
Oh yeah.
awful. I will say though, to go back to Clerks 2, I did have one favorite quote, and it's at the end of the movie where Dante says, "Can you feel it? Today is the first day of the rest of our lives." And I kind of did like that for him and Randall, where like they're their own bosses now. They're taking control of their lives after 2 movies of Dante just bitching.
yeah,
But it's finally like, yeah, you finally did something.
yeah.
So I
You
did like that
own
part
the
for them.
place that you fucking
you
hated
hated.
to work
Yeah,
at.
Yeah.
so that's where
Mhm.
I was like, that's where I'm like, are you ready for the rest of the day, or like for the rest of our lives, kind of thing? Like, you hate this place, you wanted to get out of this place, and now you own this place. Which, like, yes, that does present certain benefits, but to what extent? And
Yeah.
like, I like that they had
Comfort.
They still I like that they still showed like the woman taking out the milk
Yeah.
and that whole thing where it's like, okay, it's like the same shit, different day.
Mm.
So I mean, yes, you're working for yourself, which is like is great. Like, I strive everybody to do the things that they want to do, especially if they want to be their own boss. but I just I don't know. I'm like, you're still stuck in the same. Like, if I hate job A, do I really want to be king of job A? Does it make it better? Does it make it worse?
I think for
It's in the same
Dante, I
spot.
think that fits his character though.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Make
Yeah.
the
If
same
it's his
mistake
comfort
over
level.
and
Yeah,
over again,
absolutely.
be in
Yeah.
that same
he can
cycle.
Still, yeah, he can still be lazy to an extent. He can still do the same stuff that he was doing,
Yeah.
but now he owns it, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
because who's gonna yell at him?
Where does Jay and Silent Bob like fit into this? Like, I know they said that their agreement was they can be on the corner and just like mess
Yeah.
around, but like, is that it? They don't get like
It was
a
to set up
percentage,
3.
Or, yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
was there a setup in 3? I was like, maybe there's a setup in 3.
Well, I mean, that's. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I've also heard some spoilers about 3, so
I heard one
yeah, I was
of
like,
the
I'm a
biggest
little-
ones for 3,
Oh,
and I was just.
yeah.
I'm
No,
not
no,
gonna.
no,
I'm
I
not
haven't
gonna
heard
say
anything.
it. I'm not gonna say it.
We're
I haven't heard
We're
anything. I've
say
avoided
I
it.
just know
We
one of the
almost-
It's
biggest
been a few
ones.
years.
Spoiled another movie that was unrelated to the movies we're talking about now.
Which one- What?
Don't worry about it. Because you were the one who didn't want to hear it.
I think they're talking about-
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
But anyway, with that said, I definitely liked Clerks 2 a lot better. I feel like if it was like on TBS or something, probably not TBS, but like one of those channels that like,
Comedy
it's
Central.
Saturday morning and you're like
It would not
doing
be.
some cleaning around the house, like I would have it on the background. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think that it's like, it was definitely more of an enjoyable time. I only looked at my watch once during that film to see how much longer there was, and it was definitely during the donkey scene.
Greatest thing.
Just, yeah, very, no, just not. And then, yeah, there was like a whole scene with like racial slurs being thrown around. So that's a little test.
He was trying to bring it back. I mean, no, I'm not condoning it. You
Nobody,
can't. You can't condone that at all.
Nobody's
Like,
bringing anything back.
it's a
nothing
pro.
like
It's. I
it.
feel like it's a product of the time. It's the
Yeah.
early 2000s.
No, absolutely. Well, yeah, like
How much can you really say?
we can't say too much.
Well, no,
because-
physically we cannot say.
Yeah,
too
we
much,
cannot
but
condone. We do not condone
Absolutely
any
we
sort of
do.
racial injustice or anything like that. Like we're very much open to any and all. I don't know. There was a point where I get it. I get like, because you use like certain words and phrases back in the 90s or earlier that like people thought were funny.
Mhm.
Not these ones. You know what I'm talking about.
I'm so lost in the words. There's so many big
I will
words
say Randall
floating
not,
around.
being,
right
Randall
now.
not
Like,
knowing that they were those words though just shows like the ignorance. Of
Yeah,
it
yeah.
being,
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
no,
yeah.
what do you
what is it?
mean?
Yeah.
No, oh,
My grandma say it all the time.
You know,
I'm
to-
like, wait, well, actually, you
grandma
have a
said
point.
that.
wait a
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah. Once it's like broken down to him, he's just like, oh, you know what? You have a point.
That's okay. I'm bringing it back. Terrible.
Not bringing it back.
No.
Nobody's bringing it back.
He tried.
Shall
Not
we
saying
re-
you should.
Is-
Shall we review this bad boy?
Let's review
we
this
poppy
bad
it
boy.
up?
Poppies.
You guys want to take it?
Marissa, you can go first.
Oh, okay. Well, with everything that we said, and I definitely said that I liked Clerks 2 more, I'm actually going to give it a solid 3 out of 5 poppies.
Yeah.
I also agree with you. I like Clerks 2 a lot better than I like the first one. I will give it a 3.5 poppies.
A
Wow.
little bit higher.
I know, higher than Aliens. Surprise, surprise.
Oh, God.
That hurts a little bit.
That
That,
hurts
that still
a
hurts.
whole lot.
I'm gonna keep
I
bringing
feel
it back.
like Mooney should just give it, like, on a scale of, like, would I watch this over Alien? I'd probably
That's her
watch
segment.
this.
Put a
It is.
xenomorph
That's
instead.
hers, yeah, I
I've
was
seen
like,
the checklist that she goes through, and it's like, how many times did I check my phone? Oh, that's a couple poppies off.
Yeah. It's like,
Well, I mean, if at that point, I would probably be at like negative.
Hers is like
100
a
for
no. Hers is
everything.
more like a teeter-totter scale of just like
Yeah.
it's the movie and then Alien and like does Alien go higher or below?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot more because there was things that I related to on a personal level
Yeah,
watching the
donkey.
movie. No.
Good lord.
But
The movie's burger
no,
That-
spitting in somebody's drink.
The egg that they just
I
cut
mean-
into.
maybe. There's a bunch of scenes. Like I remember this one time where when Randall burnt down the store, one of the things that I related to is I was leaving to go out on a date and I left a Nutella sandwich in the toaster.
Are you about to tell us you committed a felony?
No, I almost burned down my parents' house
Okay.
by leaving a sandwich in a toaster. So I just relate like little anecdotes that happen in my personal life that I
Oh,
related
wait.
to.
I have
more.
questions.
yeah.
Go back up.
Yes,
back up.
yes.
Sa-
in the toaster.
What kind of sandwich?
White bread, Nutella. I
Like
like my
Wonder-
Nutella.
Like Wonder Bread?
No,
Hold on.
absolutely
Okay,
not.
we.
Hold
So
on,
many
hold on,
questions
hold on,
now,
hold
so
on,
many
hold on,
questions, so
hold on.
many questions.
Let her explain.
I took 2 slices of white bread, put Nutella, close it up, put it in the toaster because I like my Nutella to be hot in
What kind of toaster?
a toaster oven.
Okay, well, so where's the bread flat?
Yeah. Just
Or is it like
Pull the-
vertical in the
pull-
slots?
pull the door down, pull
Oh,
out the
okay,
tray, put the
okay.
sandwich,
No,
put
that
it
makes
back
more
in.
sense.
It was
Makes
actually
more
to go out
sense.
with you.
This is all
So it's
your
your
fault.
fault.
Master plan.
It's
Holy
your
shit.
fault.
Burn down that. Oh.
It's your fault, Joseph.
My follow-up question is, you're allergic to hazelnut,
This is before she knew.
so you
No, it
just wanted
isn't.
to be itchy before
was.
your date.
No, it
Bro, she used
isn't.
to go through jars.
I would go
She
through jars.
knew the whole
I-
time,
I
but she,
think
it was
I
a
knew
love-hate
on it.
relationship.
Oh, so you're just not telling me until like we moved in together? Like,
Oh,
by the way,
I don't care. It's
She's also allergic to berries. And we're
it's
not doing that
delicious.
game ever.
It's delicious,
Not doing
and
that.
I grew up eating it, and I'm gonna keep eating it. I still have a jar
Yeah, 'cause you
hidden.
hide it from me.
Kills her.
Find the jar hidden.
I
that I have
found one
hidden.
under the bed the other day.
It's not under the bed.
Oh,
She
yes, it
just
was.
Joseph goes to sleep at night, and she just up and she's like, "Finally!"
And it's not even with the spoon; it's just with our hand. Just,
Okay, I'm not that gross.
well, we shouldn't be an alien. God damn it!
Finally.
I know. I enjoyed it.
So 3.5? Is that what
3.5.
Poppies?
She's
Okay.
Three and a half poppies.
She's like the fish from SpongeBob when he finally gets the chocolate.
I've been looking for you boys all day.
All day. Now that I finally have you.
Chocolate!
Can I buy some candy bars?
Can I buy some jars of Nutella?
I'm sorry.
Can we just have like a picture of that?
Oh,
Just
fuck.
like his chocolate.
Chocolate! Chocolate!
And then we killed Joseph.
I wish,
I made the
I wish
first time
SpongeBob
today.
was a sequel. We could just talk about that all day.
Just
I could talk about
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob all day.
Rest in peace, Steven Hillenburg.
The creator?
Anyway, what would you rate this movie, Big Dog?
I have it with a tie with Clerks 3.5. They're
3.5.
both enjoyable. It's the same characters, just a little bit in color. There's more meat in Clerks 2 that I could enjoy, but they're in the same place for me. I feel like it's just one continued story, so I have it at 3.5.
Okay.
I like it. I like it a lot. I went and saw this in theaters multiple times. I've seen this shit more than once.
Nice.
I enjoyed it. I liked it. And I liked it a lot.
You liked it a lot more?
I liked it more. I like it more than Clerks a little bit. Really liked Clerks 2 a lot better than Clerks 1. I would give it 3 poppies instead of 2.5 for the original Clerks. I thought that this one was a good addition, good step in the right direction. I really enjoyed it. I saw it in theaters multiple times, more than I paid for a movie ticket, maybe at least twice. I saw it more than twice. I know that, but I maybe only paid twice to see it. So I was like, I'm gonna see it again.
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed it that much. Yeah. Leave it at that.
Yeah.
Send us home.
Sounds so.
Mhm.
All right, guys. As always, that was our.
All right.
All right. And that was our review for Clerks 2. As always, links all down below in the description. Subscribe, like this video, comment down below. What is your review for Clerks and Clerks 2? And let us know what is your favorite Kevin Smith movie. We will see you guys next week, and you guys enjoy your Labor Day. Peace out.
Don't work too hard.
Woo!
Or don't work at all. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Until next time, the podcast, a show so sublime. Marissa, Mooney, Joseph, and Ryan signing off with glee. Join us next episode for more sequel revelry.